power to the biggest thug, because those economies aren't as efficient, and those economies don't produce innovation. So you have to trust that the government can make better decisions than a free market, and that means then that always consolidates into a dictator control and power, always. So by breaking the rules of capitalism and not letting, so capitalism requires cleansing. It requires only economists believe you can grow forever. Right? The capitalism required you grow when you grow too big, and then the creative destruction breaks that, and the economy comes down, and then it grows again. The stopping that function from resetting means this. So I'll use an example. Today, should commercial real estate, with what's happening with Zoom, and should commercial real estate be priced anywhere near where it is today? Right? There's 50% of the people aren't in the building, so you'd think that at least 50% has to fall by that. Why hasn't it fallen? Because we're manipulating those prices higher, and then because we manipulate those prices higher, a lot of the entrepreneurs can't do their work through there, so they actually go into technology faster, right? And they reduce labor faster, because and so you're speeding up the process of digital disruption, and you're holding, and then you have to keep these asset prices higher by printing more money, all the while the people on the losing side of this, because you're destroying their value in currency, those people rise up and they say, I can't feed my family, right? I can't pay. And so it's really easy to in their minds, I don't agree with socialism, but I understand why it's becoming really popular, because they don't question what's happening. They just can't feed their families, right? They just can't feed and the same thing's happening in housing. If your rents are going up at that rate and your wages aren't going up at that rate, you look for a solution that sounds really good. And so I understand both sides of these things. I can debate both, and I can disagree, agree. But the cause of that socialism is by not letting a system clear in the first place.
Correct.
So how Jeff, do you see this playing out? What do you think's gonna?
What do I think's going to happen is what I think is going to happen is, I already talked just before the break of, governments won't let it fail. Won't on their watch let the whole system collapse. So that means so they won't take away stimulus. They'll add stimulus. And you can see it in the stock market right now. Without more stimulus, it feels like it wants to fall like crazy.
About PPP and socialism.
Exactly. So you can expect, no matter who gets in, who wins an election, you can expect much more printing. You can expect interest rates to go to a lot more negative. I know that sounds crazy, but in my book, actually, I pointed to an IMF working paper that had actual policy design that interest rates have to go to -5 or 6. So if you understand what's happening here, mathematically, this is what has to happen. So if you're going to pretend to save the system, as you do this, you destroy the value of money. Today, that won't turn up in inflation. It's short term. It'll turn up in asset price inflation as people flee cash and they put it into assets. But it won't turn into inflation and into the real economy until the time that UBI or helicopter money or anything else. And then that's when then essentially you've taken the Fed, and the Treasury has become the Fed, right? And politicians are in control of inflation. Once that happens, you can expect a path to hyperinflation. And now let's go back to gold. When Robert, you talked about going off the gold standard, and it brought in a period of hyperinflation, right? That hyperinflation ended in 1980-81 when Volcker, who crushed it by taking rates to 27%, and the economy collapsed. He crushed it. He essentially caused a massive recession. Businesses failed and everything else. This time is different. Number one, the Fed won't have the same power because they'll have granted the power to Treasury, right? And what politician will raise interest rates like that in that environment, causing this way bigger bubble to collapse. Additionally, the risk isn't just on businesses anymore. The risk is actually on the Treasury itself, on the Fed itself, or it's Treasury, the government, because the debt bubble in the government is so much bigger today, and the debt bubble in the and the Treasury and Fed has taken that risk off business balance sheet, put it on theirs. So how could they bring up interest rates when it causes the same bubble to collapse? So effectively, what all this means is you can expect hyperinflation at some point, and that hyperinflation to wipe out everybody until such time that you get to deflation. Think of every country that goes through hyperinflation and what that looks like for their societies.
Yeah. So FYI, that hyperinflation followed World War I in Germany, which led to the rise of Hitler in 1933.
That's it. I wrote the book, Robert, because it tells all of these things and what's happening next. And if you just follow this out, it's predicting all of these events, and it predicts the next ones.
And so that's why, when I heard you defending yourself, said I'm not a deflationist. I was just reporting what's going on here.
Exactly.
And I was just cracking up is because you're really a technology guy, and you can see what's coming from technology where the other people can't see it. Just like Eastman Kodak could not see digital photographs, and they didn't want to see it.
It just goes so far against their
yes, because
yeah.
A lot of people don't want to see what's going on for the same reason today, because what we're talking about is if what Jeff is talking about, artificial intelligence, which is full of the Fed is full of it. But anyway, it's going to wipe us out.
Definition.
It's coming anyway. And that's why, the Rich Dad Company was formed 25 years ago. My first book was, if you want to be rich and happy, don't go to school, because you're not going to learn any of this anyway. And so we're coming down. The question is, which I thought was interesting, is guys like, I've been a gold bug since '72 and a silver bug since '64. I just recently got involved in Bitcoin. And I agree 100% with what you said. The reason prices go up is people are running out of the dollar and into stocks, real estate, gold, silver, and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So what's your crystal ball? I mean, gold and silver going up is good for the gold and silver investor, but it's not good for the economy.
Mathematically, we are where we are, and it's going to reset in one of those two ways. So unfortunately, both those ways have massive implications for society. And when you look at this happening throughout history, society breaks up and they revolt and they scream at each other, and there's a whole bunch of fighting, right? Typically leading to revolutions and wars. And what countries do in that is they try to blame another country for the pain to consolidate power. So expect all of these things to happen. As far as
China's our problem today.
Yeah, well, and